Steve, what would you say to Texas critics? I won't necessarily say fans, but some of it could be a fan base and some of it just college football critics, because it's certainly a monumental win to go to Stillwater, win that game against the sixth-ranked team in the country as an unranked team and get yourself back in the Big 12 race. But many detractors would say, with the recruiting classes that Texas has and with the resources, that they shouldn't be an underdog against Oklahoma State. It shouldn't be a surprise. It shouldn't be a monumental win. It shouldn't be anything. They should be in the position of favorite in that game and not looking at Oklahoma State as the best team in the conference. So there's still, some ire there from Texas as being just in the race with everyone else when they should be dominating the conference, or at least vying for a conference championship every year.
I strongly disagree with those statements. I mean, recruiting is only so much of college football. I think it's a strategy game. Football's a strategy game. Coaching and how you apply your talent, and maybe you find different players that fit your system better in recruiting. It's not all about rankings, and this is why we see teams like Wisconsin recruit a bunch of 3-stars and become the best team in the Big Ten West every single year, always in that playoff race, even though they haven't made it yet since the CFP began. But I just think recruiting's overrated, and Texas should be thrilled to have that victory. Oklahoma State, I mean, I don't know what stars Chuba Hubbard and Tylan Wallace were, but we know that was the best running back there on Saturday, and we know that was the best wide receiver there on Saturday. So I don't really get caught up in all that stuff, and that should be a win that's celebrated by Texas. Texas has had 4 losses or more in a season every single year since 2010. I know a lot of Texas fans want this to be the Mac Brown 05 to 09 glory era again, and it seemed like they got close with that Sugar Bowl win in 2018. Who knows if they win out the rest of the season, and maybe they're going to get there again. But I think you have to base your expectations on what has happened the previous couple years. I think Tom Herman has done a phenomenal job, because I compare him to what Charlie Strong did from 2014 to 16, and that's have 0 winning seasons in 3 years. So I think that any detractors with what Texas has done, I just don't understand it, because the Longhorns have they've beaten so many ranked teams over the years. I know they'll drop games to Kansas State's or West Virginia's that they probably shouldn't after like a really good win, but I still think the Longhorns have done a phenomenal job staying competitive in the Big 12, winning big games, winning bowl games, and they have talent on their team. Sam Ehlinger, Joseph Asai, they didn't have those players in the Charlie Strong era that you could rely on from a game-to-game basis. So I don't think there should be really any criticism in saying that Texas should beat Oklahoma State, because I think Oklahoma State's the better overall team, and I think Texas should just be thrilled to have that victory. And it was a heck of a win, all circumstances considered, Saturday, and they can build on that going forward.
In a certain aspect, wouldn't that underline or emphasize the point that if Texas does have the better talent, but it needs to fit the system, that they should be doing a different job in recruiting maybe, or that the player development and the game management and preparation for the game and in-game adjustments aren't there if they're losing to the likes of TCU and Iowa State and West Virginia and those types of teams throughout the years, and in losing 4 games all these consecutive seasons?
I don't know. It's really hard to judge talent with just high schoolers or 17-year-olds coming out of high school. A lot can change. I mean, the best players from age 15 to 17 aren't the same ones from 17 to 19 or 19 to 21. So things change. I mean, recruiting is just arbitrary rankings. They all are different high schools, go up against different classes. I know Texas gets a lot of ones on that high board, but I mean, player development is a thing that's different at every college. Different players play in different systems. I don't really have too much comment there, except I just think that Texas has done a great job of getting back to where it needs to be after a rough era on the Charlie Strong seasons. But the Longhorns have done a good job winning big games, especially in the Herman era, and I think that's something that you have to look up to. They've beaten Oklahoma twice under Herman and being underdogs every single year. They've beaten top 10 teams such as Oklahoma State. I think Utah might have been around the top 10 when they beat them in the Alamo Bowl, and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. And Herman really knows how to strategize and plan for those games where his team's a heavy underdog, and you have to give him huge credit for those scenarios. Now it's just about not losing those games to, I mean, TCU is not what it was in 2014 this year. So I'm going to say not losing the games to 2020 TCU, or not being challenged by Texas Tech in the final minutes.
Talking Texas, Steve Helwig, SB Nation. You can catch him on Underdog Dynasty and also Hustle Belt. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please lock it in right here. Give us a like. Share the videos on social media. Let us know what you think of Texas football and the Big 12 race down below in the comment section. And, of course, subscribe right here. That way you know when we're going live, when you hit that bell for the notifications. Steve, we appreciate you stopping by. Should be another good one in the Big 12.
Yes, it should. Looking forward to this.